welcome back to the Secret Astrology. My name is Makayla, and I'm here with my friend Mila from Moonlight Soul Astrology. She has joined us today to talk about a major planetary shift that is happening on March 23rd, 2022. This is the transit of Pluto moving into Aquarius. Now, this is a major shift. It's a 20-year cycle. Many astrologers are talking about it. And Mila and I actually got together a few times behind the scenes and decided we wanted to come and present this transit to you in a different type of approach, because you can get so much information of how is it going to affect the house that it's transiting? What does it mean? How is it going to affect geopolitics in the world? We're coming at this from like a spiritual approach. How are you going to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally through this process? Mila is so smart. She's so educated on astrology, and we can talk forever. So you'll probably see this throughout the video. And so we just want to really present this transit to you. It is going to be on and off, I would say, in the year of 2023. Sorry, I can talk. Because Pluto is going to go retrograde, and it's going to dip back into Capricorn for a few months and then go back into Aquarius in the beginning of 2024, and will stay there until 2044, I believe, is the complete cycle. And so, yeah, it's a major shift in everyone's life. I think we're all going to feel it in so many ways, and it's pretty exciting if you want to deal with the energy in a positive way, and that's what we're here to do. So, Mila, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about you for the subscribers of my channel, because they don't know you yet?
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. So we are students of evolutionary astrology together, studying from the same place. That's how we met, me and Makayla. And I have been studying astrology from different astrologers previously. I studied with Lada, astrology with Lada, astrology with Heather. I did some courses with Astro Victor. So until I found Simon, I was dipping my toes into different practices. And then when I came across evolutionary astrology, this is where I found my calling, because it goes deeper and it allows people to understand the whys, which our generation, Pluto in Scorpio, is all about whys. We want to know the why. So this really resonated with me, and I found a lot of validation and a sense of self-empowerment. And that's why I've decided this is what I want to specialize in, because this is what I want to offer people also, to find this sense of validation and self-empowerment in themselves. So every time there is an issue in their life, they don't need to go to someone else to tell them how to resolve it, but they understand that they have all the answers within them. Yeah. So this is what brought us here.
Yeah, I love that. Yep. So Mila and I both have learned from Simon Forster. You can check out his channel at Raising Vibrations Astrology on YouTube. He's a super smart human, and so we come from the same school of thought. So it's really great that I get to do this video with you, because it's just easy. You know, when we've come in from the same background, and you've learned from a bunch of great teachers. So I'm excited about this. Also, just so people know, you're available for astrology readings like anywhere in the world, right? Because you do them via Zoom.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a digital nomad currently in Mexico, but I'll be moving again in a couple of months. And yeah, you can guys find me. I'm on social media also, and just drop me an email. I'll be very happy to help people to understand their charts better.
Awesome. So I'll link all of those, that connection for you down below in the show notes. And I guess we're just going to get started into this transit and what we came with. So I made a couple of slides. Okay. Just nothing too fancy. We just wanted to, make this look nice for everybody so that you could see what's going on. And actually, Mila, you came up with this really, that we are humans. You know, you really coined that the other night when we were talking and brainstorming about how we wanted to talk about Pluto and Aquarius. So do you want to like kick off with what you were telling me when it came to accept we're humans into this shift?
Yeah, because I think now having all the AI and all the progressive technology around us, people are trying to compare themselves and their mental capabilities to AI, which is obviously very difficult because it's a completely different thing. So rather than people wanting to make themselves feel inferior and disempowered because there is this this machine or this higher intelligence that's got a better mental capabilities, how about that we just accept that we are humans and we have different gifts to offer, because AI is not creative, it cannot tap into the source and get downloads and be intuitive. This is where we are, where is our strength, rather than try to compare ourselves and make ourselves feel small because we don't have IQ, God knows what. So I feel it's important, especially now coming into an age of Aquarius, where the technology will be accelerated and there will be more and more interference with the AI, rather than to make it an enemy and see it. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's not going to impact us in a negative way. I'm just withdrawing the opinion about that. But I'm just saying, let's just focus on the fact that we are humans. We have our weaknesses, but we also have our strengths. And let's focus on the strengths rather than focus on the weaknesses and comparing ourselves to something that is stronger in the ways that we cannot compete in, like the AI. We don't have the same mental capabilities as computers, and these
right
systems.
Yeah, it's really true, because even if we look at Chat GPT that's just come out, right? We're already getting trickles of technology into our society that's new, that's really revolutionizing like the way that we're interacting with social media, what people are digesting as far as material goes. And it really frightens me. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, what is Chat GPT, for instance, going to do, right? Like, are we going to be able to find authentic writers after this kind of takes over? Because I will sit and think about a post or write a piece on Medium or, whatever. I'll do a writing piece. I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I have to really sit there and think, because it's coming from like my heart, my soul, my mind. But you can just go online onto this technology and it will just collect a whole bunch of pieces and then spit something out, right? And now people are using that in their social media because it affects the algorithm. It does help with your social media following and stuff. But there's also a piece of this that I'm wondering, like, where's the integrity being held, And then how are we going to lose our skills to, to write and to create in that sense, and lose our left brain so much because it's being done for us too much as well, And I feel like we can't get disconnected from that. Of course, we've got these really intelligent scientists who are part of this creation, but they're also using technology to create better technology. And for the average human, I don't feel our mental capacity can accelerate or digest information as quickly as technology can. And so, like, what I'm thinking with Pluto and Aquarius too is like mental stimulation, mental burnout, massive anxiety, right? Massive like mental overload, exhaustion because of that, because you're trying to digest too much stuff. Like, if you ever scrolled through social media, which I think most of us have, for too long of a period of time, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Processing all these like quotes and pictures and people's thoughts, and it's like, oh, quick now. Everyone likes quick information, quick. But you can get extreme burnout. And so that's why what you brought up is accepting we're human, is like bringing it back into the body and realizing that we also need to slow things down a little bit too. It's kind of like a contradiction going on right now as we're shifting into Pluto and Aquarius.
Yeah, and it's also like, like Simon has been talking to us, that a lot of jobs will just become redundant overnight, because this GPT-3, like these new systems, the AI can do the work much more effectively and much faster. So obviously, if you just need something written quickly and just to get the core information out there, you don't even need the person to write it for you. But this is exactly where the difference comes, because it can create poems for you. I haven't used the system myself. I know it's out there, and currently I'm avoiding it at the moment. But it's there is obviously the potentiality, but there is also the flip side of it, where it will make people just lazy, because yes, it will make people redundant in certain jobs. But also, once we start relying only on the technology to do everything for us, then then we will lose these abilities. Like already people are so disconnected from their intuition. It's very hard for people to be in their bodies, to ground. And now having all these mental stimulations, we constantly in our brain, in our head all the time. And then, like you said, we can feel it in our bodies after spending all day in front of computer, which, I'm as guilty as anybody else working through through the computer digitally. And I can feel it in my body. It's not natural. It's not natural for our physical posture to be sat all day, or crouching down in front of the computer, for our eyes and stuff. So I think that we'll have to find a new way to be in balance with the technology, because of course the technology is not going anywhere, and it's to help us also in some way to our evolution, because it's just the world we're living in at the moment. Like, it cannot be removed and stop and go backwards, but to try to balance it in a different way, where there are aspects of being human and like aspects in our evolution where we can go back, like spend more time in nature, like connect to each other. Because for a lot of people, especially after the past 3 years, it's difficult to create human connection because everything became digital. And if we meet face to face with people, sometimes it's difficult to even communicate because we got so unused to the physical connection. So I really feel that we'll have to figure out some kind of balance, like take the best out of what's offered to us and accept our limitations. That there are certain things that, of course, the AI can do much better, which we can use to our advantage, but not allow it to use us. And especially when it comes to the inferiority, not allow it to overcome the sense that, oh, now there is this system that is much smarter than I, because it's true, our brain are not wired the same way as computer, but to, like I said, embrace that we have something other to offer. So let's try to create, I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't have the answers, but there has to be a new way. There has to be a balance, because otherwise it's going to be too much of the mental. And then where does will leave us, like floating in the air?
Well, I think okay, so I want everyone to have a homework assignment already and just go watch Star Wars, because right, this was just making me think of Star Wars and how the Jedi warriors have their laser beam, right? Their laser beam sword or whatever, right? And it's like future oriented, right? I could imagine us actually having things like this in the future, which would be super cool, right? And it is technologically advanced, but it's still a human, it's still Luke Skywalker using it to his capabilities, right? And so you have so many great points where we do have to understand the balance. And I think you're right too, we cannot stop technology advancing, because there's going to be half of society that really is accelerating and with it and wants it, and they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing for it, not understanding its implications. I mean, this is like when they had developed the atomic bomb, they were like, wow, we developed the atomic bomb, but then look at the awfulness that came from it, right? These same things can happen with technology, where these advances will be, and that's Pluto, right? That's Pluto. Pluto can be dark. It can be destructive. It can tear down things. And this isn't to fear mongle people and give you fear. Realistic, just looking at it, I feel like we will see the total opposites of both, technology that perhaps cures diseases, maybe helps just long-term issues completely reverse itself. And then in other ways, it can completely destruct the way that we do things and make us lazy, make us less self-sufficient. We have to rely on technology. I forget where I heard this from, but I heard somebody talking about it recently, and they were talking about how they were putting these chips in people that were helping with their eyesight or something, right? So, to make it better, to basically blind people could see again or something crazy like this. But then the other issue was the system goes down, right? That's running the chip inside of the human. And it's the pros and cons of this is going to be, I think we're going to have to figure it out and see these extremes over the next 20 years. It's not going to, and it's not even going to be perfect 20 years after that.
Exactly. And I mean, there already are obviously technological advancement when it comes to medicine. There are the quantum, they use the med beds are around, the EE system is around, there are a lot of also technological, instruments, you know, that people use for like increasing frequencies. And there is all this, which is also very Uranian Aquarian, you know, to work with the vibration and the frequency, you know, the quantum, the scalar. It's not like I understand it a lot, but there is, it's already out there, it's already available. And you know, I think for me the core not issue, the core message here is for people to actually understand and start to embody the fact that we can heal ourselves. We have the capability. Obviously, you know, like most of us don't know how to do it because we weren't trained to do it, and we weren't trained to rely on ourselves. We, you know, ever since babies, we were learned to trust and rely on someone other than ourselves, right? It's just the way the society is programmed at the moment. But I think it's very important for people, you know, to understand that there is a way where we can connect to our intuition, connect to our healing capabilities, also taking a responsibility, you know, like with the way we live our life, our lifestyle, our diet, you know, our attitude to ourselves, healing our trauma, you know, like being in balance with our energy, you know, meditation and stuff like this. And so it could be all these natural ways which we have a control over, you know, because it's our body, it's our choice, it's our intuition, which can also help us to heal rather than, again, relying on the external. Again, there is a balance, you know. I'm sure there are modalities which are very helpful and can assist people to get more into the you know, what do you call it, when there is this balance. No, I can't think of the word at the moment, but I really can't think of the word.
Equilibrium. Let's just throw it out there.
Yeah, it's just there is a different world. It's on my tongue, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, you know, when it creates this this balance, and it can support that, but then in essence we can heal ourselves and we can provide for ourselves what we need. We don't necessarily need technology for everything. So I think it will be important to discern what it is that we need technology for, and what it is which we don't need technology for, we can do for ourselves. And by using the technology is the shortcut, you know. And I think that will be important, because otherwise we allow the technology to take over and do everything, in which case we will make ourselves redundant. So it's important to still acknowledge that this is something that I can do for myself, that's something that I can do well. And yes, if I need help, there is this other thing available to me to, you know, like enhance that, but not just to rely on that, because that's the easy way out. It's like with this system, this, you know, this new system, which, yeah, it can make things easy, you know, but then this is something, yes, some of it I can use as an advice to create something else. But if I allow the computer to do everything for me, then what am I going to do, you know? And yes, it will force people to become more and more creative, to find a new way to self-actualize, to create things for the society which will be meaningful, that, you know, the computer cannot generate, the AI cannot generate. So it will, as a humanity, it will make us to evolve. And obviously it accelerates everything even faster because of the Aquarius, and Uranus will move into Gemini. So again, it's a lot of air energy. So everything will be accelerated. And I think we don't really know. We don't really know what it's going to look. We don't really know how exactly it's going to impact us, because with the exact energies that are going on out there at this time, this never happened before. Like, yes, we had a Pluto in Aquarius, but everything else that's going on, and it was not in a time of Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius. So for us as a humanity, this is a new experience. And I don't think anybody can exactly predict how it's going to play out, which is why it's so important for people to prepare in the way that they can prepare, which is, you know, as I keep talking about in my videos all the time, to learn about your values, what is important to you, who you are, what are your values, what are your needs, what is your perception of reality, aka your truth, because we know that there is universal truth and everything else is just an opinion, which is, you know, adopted truth, subjective perception of reality. So our preparation for the age of Aquarius, which is unpredictable, and we can't foresee exactly how it's going to play out, because it's Uranus. So anything can happen, you know. Uranus is unpredictable energy, but something that we can do for ourselves based on the other transit that will be going on in the meanwhile, you know, with the nodes shifting this year from Taurus, Scorpio into Aries, Libra, which is all about self-discovery and reevaluating how we want to relate to others. So this is the preparation for when the age of Aquarius fully hits, and the other planet change sign by 2026. for us to do our part, you know, the part that we can affect to work on ourselves. And then whatever happened with the external, we will have much more stable ground when we learn to ground ourselves and trust ourselves, and then we'll have a better grasp on how we want to respond to the external, which might not be in our control. But the thing we can control is ourselves and our response to the external. But until people do the inner work, then they just floating out there and receptive to everything, and that makes us very vulnerable, which is also the side of Scorpio, right? The Pluto.
The Pluto, right? That's perfect. And so many good points there. I do believe that we definitely in this preparation phase, especially now that we have Saturn and Pisces, right? That just transitioned literally a few days ago. And then next week on the 23rd, we got now the first dip Pluto in Aquarius. And it's this sweet spot where developing your own psychic attuneness, right? If you will. And I know this is a word that I think still is getting thrown around, maybe not fully understood. But because spirituality, spiritual healing, and there's infinite amounts now out there available for people, like easily accessible online than compared to 20, 30 years ago. Everyone has these abilities, these gifts to tap in and to be in tune with their body, right? To physically just know what's going on within themselves. And I feel like another prep that people can do and they can use with this transit and these dips of Pluto into Aquarius, and then this current transit for 2.5 years, Saturn and Pisces, is start to get into your body more and devote yourself to your spiritual practice. Devote yourself to understanding how intuitive you naturally are, because that is an intelligence of its own. Exactly. That is like so empowering and just so much more powerful than people can realize. Like channeling is real, psychic vision is real, remote vision, those things are actually real, and everyone has this ability if you can lay down your truths, discover what your personal truths are, like you talked about. You don't have to be imprinted by who you grew up with or past lives, what you grew up with. That's why evolutionary astrology helps people so much, because it helps on that deep inner psychological and emotional journey where you can lay down your walls that would prevent you from trusting into your own emotional body. And once you open up, once you align the chakras, once you balance the chakras, once you open up your physical and emotional attuneness, that's where like this other intelligence comes in, this psychic ability, this psychic intelligence to actually know what's right for you, right? To like follow your own energy. Like you're traveling around the world, just following your own intuition, like you're traveling in your own guidance, right? And that is a super amazing and great example of somebody like transitioning into Pluto and Aquarius, not being bombarded by all the shifts and changes around them, but just coming back into your own intelligence and your own body. And, Aquarius is an intelligent sign. It's like higher wisdom. That's why it's the water bearer. And it's like the air sign, right? And it's looking above everybody else, right? And it's like pouring the youth of the fountain down onto everybody, right? Because it's got the youth, it's got the fountain of youth, it's got the intelligence, it's got the ability to objectify things and detach itself from traumatic situations so that it can heal, right? So that it can ultimately see the bigger picture and then come into that moment of compassion.
And it is really humanitarian, in the core level. Obviously, we have the shadow aspect of Aquarius, but in the opposition is Leo, which is your heart, your purpose. And also the thing I like about Aquarius and, what is it giving us opportunity to achieve is the equality, where there will be no longer this pyramid system that we have these 5% of people that own everything in the world and rule everything in the world, but it will present an equality and opportunity for people, to find their own power, find their own strength. And from what you were saying about, how it manifested in my life, it's not been easy because, of course, we are not being trained and prepared for life to trust yourself, to trust your intuition. So there is so much fear coming up when you just suddenly decide, okay, well, I'm not going to have this Cancer Capricorn, this security stability where I know that I can rely on my house and I can rely on the government to give me structure and definition of what the reality is. But suddenly I'm removing myself out of it and I'm going to figure it out myself. And it's not easy. And this is, I think, why so many people are struggling currently. And with Saturn currently just moving into sign of Pisces, a lot of people might feel confused. They might feel lost. They can see that the structures we've been relying on, the systems, they are dysfunctional, they are crumbling, they are going to fall apart and dissolve probably sooner rather than later. And where does that leave us? Because if we are so attached to those and relying on those purely and haven't learned to parent ourselves and trust ourselves, it makes us very vulnerable. It makes us like children because we need this continuous guidance. So the best guidance we can actually find is exactly what you said, to connect with our bodies and to find this connection to the source, to our intuition, because I keep repeating this all the time, and I could be wrong. Other astrologers might not agree, but to me, the core message of Saturn in Pisces is you have to trust your intuition, because in Pisces, nothing is defined. Everything is nebulous. It's the connection to the source. And obviously Saturn is the structure. So how are you gonna, cling on to something that is like a fog? The only way you can go is within and plug into the source, which is the Pisces, which is the everything, and to get the information from there, because that's the thing that will guide us through the upcoming times. Yes, the computers, they have the intelligence, but they can't be plugged to the, to the source, to the angelic world, or to this guidance system. And whereas we don't know how to operate through these upcoming times, but the guidance is available. The guidance is always available, it's always there for us. So as we agreed, these upcoming 3 years, especially this year, is the preparation. This is the opportunity for people, and they cannot prepare in a way, oh, let me learn as much as the computer knows, let me be ahead of the game with the technology, because the technology is accelerating and expanding so fast. We literally would go crazy. We literally would burn out, because we cannot, our brain are not designed in the same way. So what we can do is, okay, let's embrace, I'm a human, I'm a divine being in a human experience. This is my avatar. It's got its limits, but it's got these gifts. We are perfect in our imperfection. So let's focus on that and let's work on this. This is something we have control over, and this is something that will make us feel empowered, because we know the guidance is there. So when we need it in the upcoming times, once we learn to attune to it, in this, this window of opportunity to do just that, to heal the wounds, to attune to ourselves, to attune to the connection with the source, then we'll be ready. From our point of view, which what we can do as humans, we'll be ready for the age of Aquarius, because the guidance will be available for us. So once we learn to trust ourselves, but to get to that point, we need to, as I said, do the work, embrace who we are, the values, the needs, forgive ourselves for our imperfection, because we have this Pisces Virgo axis, the indoctrination of the Catholic Church, of people feeling inferior to God and all that. So that's a conversation for another time. But once people to go through this process of embracing, I'm a human, I'm not perfect, but it's okay. Nobody is. At the end of the day, we are not AI. AI is the, the mental perfection. But this is what I can do, and this is how I can prepare. And then whatever happens, I know that I'll be guided. So it could be a little bit naive way of looking at things. I'm sure the scientists would probably see it that way. But what else can we do? We don't have the same capabilities as AI, so we can only do what we can do.
Well, that's the thing too about Pisces, right? Or Saturn in Pisces is it'll be a mix between being naive to some things and being disillusioned to some things, but then also having all of this universal knowledge on another spectrum. And that's what just like Pisces does, is it takes everything and all of it and all of the knowing and all of the universe and all of consciousness, and it's just like holds it there without any container at all. And then we got Saturn in there, and Saturn's container is being basically dissolved. But in essence, it's so necessary when you think about the astrology, because moving into Pluto, which represents like power and the resurrection of something, moving into the sign that represents humanity in itself, it is a time where people, if you accept yourself and you become your own individual and you love yourself, then you can go and love everybody else, right? Because war starts on the inside. right? War happens or fighting happens because somebody's unhappy inside of themselves. And so then they project their unhappiness out. And we can see that start with just one person in power who's just so, I'm just going to go really taboo here because we're Pluto and Scorpio people, but Hitler, right? Hitler was at war with himself. And then look what he developed out in the world, right? Which is an awful, horrible experience. And so people finding their own truth, people right now really taking the time, really taking the next couple of years with the node switch, like you brought up too, is a super, super potent time to understand that South Node in Libra is going to be like, what is your value system? How do you relate to yourself? How do you relate to other people? What are your relationships with money, with companies, with the country you live in, with other countries, like relationships on all fronts? And then going into that North Node, it's like, well, what direction do you want to go in, right? And the more that you can just really get in tune with who you are, then you can connect with so many other people because you can accept other people for them being an individual. And I really think that is going to be this beauty around new communities being built, or, like multiple communities, and like you can be a part of so many. Like you and I are in all these different groups, like with all these different people, like all over the world, right? And one of my teachers, Tom Jacobs, he had a really good thing he said actually in one of his YouTube videos, was like, everybody doesn't belong to every group, right? Like an individual is not going to belong to every group. So if we can just accept our indifferences as well, the better we can move and shift into society as a tribe. I've always considered myself like a citizen of the world, not a citizen.
Yeah, me too.
Right. And it's just like, I hope that the expansion of minds become that. I hope that, because also like while we shift, while technology shifts, while people are getting overstimulated and, things are getting thrown around everywhere, with energy, there's different age levels, there's different Pluto generations. And like some people are going to need help transitioning than others. The Zoomies, the Pluto and Sag kids are like killing it with social media. And as a Pluto and Scorpio, I'm struggling.
Same here.
I'm struggling, and I'm like, I need a Zoomie for hire to help me, and I feel like that's like the way that we can also look at this whole shift. Like it doesn't have to be detachment, like actually detaching from just like severing, society or severing people. I feel like that would be more of like a boundary thing, like a Capricorn thing, which we're moving away from. It's more of like a detachment, like an acceptance. I'm not bothered by you being who you are, and you're not bothered about me being who I am.
Exactly. And I mean, even the fact that, we live on this planet and we are all people, and we all have in essence our essential needs are pretty much the same when it comes to everyone. And just the fact that we have all these borders and all these, you need visas and passports and stuff, obviously this is a topic which I'm not sure whether I should introduce, but there will be the disclosure, the extraterrestrials, because just the fact that we think we're the only living species in multiverse, it's ridiculous. Right. So obviously there will be the connection, and it will become more and more present in our lives as the time goes on and people open themselves more up to it. But the fact that we are all citizens of this earth, and we fighting because you have this passport and you have this color of skin and you this culture, but we're still humans, we're citizens of this earth. So in one sense, yeah, exactly like you said, that we don't have to fit everywhere. That was more of the Pisces age, where all we, share, we want all the same thing, like communism, we want all the same, we have the shared ideals, we have the shared values, share this, share that. In essence, yeah, we all need to, as human, as a physical being, as our biology requires us to have certain needs, but then as an individual, we value different things, and it's okay. And it's this, like, yeah, we don't need to all fit everywhere, we don't need to be liked by everyone, but it's important for me to like and accept myself. And like you said, once I am at peace with myself, I don't need to be at war with someone else, because what is inside of us is being projected outwardly, and everything that's outside of us just mirror what's inside of us. So that's why, like, even though there are people who are like Zen-like, and they have it all figured out, like Eckhart Tolle and stuff, but then there is still war in the world, which means that obviously that's a projection of the human collective, not just one person. And while there is still someone struggling with this out there, then we are all impacted, because we all live on this earth, and there is nowhere to hide, because we all tapping into the same collective consciousness, and it's impacting every single one of us. So yeah, we don't all need to be the same. We all don't all need to like each other, or like share the same opinion or the same truth. But if we learn to accept ourselves and love ourselves for who we are, then there won't be need for this. I mean, like, don't even get me started on wars. That is the most nonsensical thing, because how can you win war? How can you win war with war? That doesn't work like that, So that's why, like, just to try to add fuel into the fire, you're not gonna get rid of the fire, right? So it really starts within, because, like, really how you said that if there is a war within us as an individual, and there is some unhealed trauma which we then consciously or subconsciously project onto someone else, then everybody is impacted. So in a sense, when people start taking care of their own backyard, of their own life, then it's not selfish, because this is what we've been programmed to believe by the societal programming, that you have to put other people first, and like take care of others and stuff. And yeah, that's, of course, that is still there. Like, we want to be a good people and support each other, but you have to start from yourself, because if your cup is empty, then how are you going to help someone else? And then also we have the needs. So if I don't meet my needs, I project this need outwardly, or manipulate my way around to get the needs met, because we need what we need. So rather, if people accept, this is me, this is what I need, this is what is important to me, this is my value, and this is how I'm gonna meet that need, or be frank with someone that, oh, this is my need, can you meet my need, and I can meet yours. So we be frank about it. So we go out there with, intention and authenticity. Then it's a completely different energy, right? Rather than projecting it consciously, subconsciously, and manipulating our way around, which is like we see, around the world. It's rampant all around the world. These narcissistic tendencies, all these wounded, unhealed trauma from our childhood and inner child suffering. And we can see all these world leaders, that they trying to meet their unmet childhood need by the actions they take in, and they impacting everyone else. So this really is about, rather than focusing on, how the AI is smarter than me, how about I focus on healing my human trauma, so I can be a better human being, so I have better connection with everything and everyone else, and then we can focus on how am I going to make a better connection with technology. Because the one thing people need to be aware of, that the technology, it's it only knows what we teach it.
Yes, exactly.
It is mirroring to us what is inside of us. So if a higher mind, if a healed person with a higher level of consciousness create this technology, he's not going to create it for distraction. He's going to create it with good intent, for good purpose. So that's why the technology will always just mirror back to us, to who we are. So rather than be afraid of what this AI is going to do to us, let's take care of who is creating the AI, and that's us humans.
Oh my God, that was such a great freaking point. I would have clipped that for TikTok. That was amazing. It's so true, though, right? It's so true. And we will, I believe, get confronted that, or start to get confronted that this coming summer, when the nodes switch, right? When the nodes go to South Node Libra, right? We'll start to probably get little snippets of that. And then the eclipsers are going to be in Aries and Libra, and that's going to be a whole other shit show that we can probably get into later on in the year. And another thing I see is something that Jeffrey Wolfgreen talks about, is the stages of development, right, for humans. And so there's the consensus stage, the individuated stage, and the spiritual stage. And this is for people who, I guess, who are really deep into evolutionary astrology. But to bring it back to people who are just like kind of getting in and curious, I see a lot of people right in the individuated stage, right in the middle, trying to figure it out, where they're leaving the old paradigm they're leaving the values and the traditions that were put onto them because they just don't feel like they align anymore because time changes, you know. And we can see a lot of it with like the sexual revolution, for instance, and people embracing their own sexual authenticity now, and all that's coming out. And I just think that's one example that's really, really positive. Being more free to express themselves in that essence. But there's three levels in between that individuated stage, and I feel like this Pluto in Aquarius shift is going to massively, just subconsciously and energetically, pull a lot of people towards like, okay, who am I as a person?
Yeah.
And then like there'll be a group that acknowledges that they want to be their own person, but they're afraid of being judged, which is really fair, like really fair experiences to go through, right? And you can work through that, and you know, with coaching or whatever you need, right? But there'll be those people that want to resist it because they're afraid of being judged. And then there'll be the people that do go out and express their authentic self, right? But kind of don't really like step into their full power, I think. And then there'll be like a third group that really steps out and goes and does the thing, like becomes an individual, goes and experiments with it, and then can come back and like start to help and teach other people transition. And then that natural progression is also into that spiritual stage. And then you get into, you know, like Buddha and stuff, right?
Oneness, everything is connected.
Right.
Well, I feel that this nodal shift, especially the North Node coming into Aries, and obviously Venus will be doing her retrograde in Leo, which is trine in Aries, you know, is a natural trine in the natural zodiac because of the fire element. So it's the new direction and the purpose. So I think that is going to really help people. And also this drive towards self-discovery, finding my purpose, and then obviously the fire and the air element. So with the Aquarius, it's a sextile, so it's a supporting element to each other. I think that's going to help people to find their people, you know. And then obviously, you know, Aquarius is no longer about being the lone wolf on the top of the peak of the mountain, you know, or something. Like, it's not about I'm the best YouTuber with the most followers, or I have the most cash in my bank account. That's not what Aquarius is about. That's what we're coming out of here, you know, this pyramid system. So I feel that, of course, it's not easy, you know, to be individuated, especially if your environment don't mirror it, because us as a human species, the number one, you know, need for survival is the connection. You know, that's how our biology is programmed from being babies. You know, if the mother doesn't connect with the child, it's not gonna survive. It needs this connection. And then also how, you know, we've been taught in our courses through Gabor Mate work, you know, like when you are a child, the need for connection will always override the need for authenticity. So a lot of people have this unhealed wound within themselves where maybe their environment didn't accept their authentic individuated self when they were children, and they were starting to discover, you know, that I am separate from my mother, you know, at the age of 3 or something. And then they started like coming out with their own little personality, and then they got shut down, you know, like, oh, this environment, culture, religion, it doesn't accept who you are, and that causes the fragmentation. That's what Teal Swan talks about a lot. And you know, and that's why for a lot of people, they had this unhealed wound, this unhealed fragments of themselves, where they had to reject certain aspects of themselves because they were not acceptable in, you know, the environment they grew up in. That's why they struggle to embrace this individual aspect of themselves, because it triggers this I'm not safe, I'm not gonna survive, I'm going to be rejected. So it's all this healing process. So it's not something that's just going to happen overnight, guys. You know, this is something that requires a lot of therapy, a lot of inner work, a lot of guidance, a lot of trust, and then desire for this to actually happen. And the more people heal, the more they will be in resonance with their true essence of who they really are, and the easier it will be to attract people who will mirror it back to them, the real tribe, the soul fam. And that's it will become easier to start acting like that and start living like that, on, you know, not just you go out there, you retrieve, you go out there or retrieve, but make this the way of life. Because once we have our support, our network, mirroring it back to us, rather than now if we come out there and you in a completely different group of people, they will reject it and throw tomatoes on you and make you feel that you are weird and stuff. And then I want to survive, so now I have to repress that part of myself again. We're going to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, who are on the same fractal, mirror the same thing to us, and that will make us feel validated in a sense. And it will be much easier for people to continue on that path, and this will just multiply because more people do that work. There will more people will find their communities, whether physical or digital, and they will support each other because we're social creatures, so we want to be mirrored, we want to be supported, we want to feel that we belonged. And it will be a process, and it will be more and more, because that's what Aquarius is about creating these networks, the connection, without the center. So there will be nobody operating those. It will just become more, like, it will happen organically, but it will take time because Pluto moves so slowly. So we are aware that the entire world will be completely transformed in the next 20 years. It will be a very different place from where we live in right now, but it's not going to happen overnight. And also all these processes, they will take time, but they will happen slowly but surely, and then there will be no going back.
Right. Well, if it did happen right at once, right, that would be a cataclysmic event, and that would be severe trauma, which can, and it's not that those things can't happen, because, things do happen in the world that are very cataclysmic and do usher in change on a very fast pace. But that usually happens when there's, and especially in people's personal lives, if we're bringing it back to like the individual, those kind of events only happen when we are actually really resisting that change. And you can feel that change. You can feel the resistance sometimes when you need to put the bottle down, right? You need to quit drinking. You need to quit the job. Like, you need to get out of the abusive relationship, right? And when you suppress all of those changes, that's when those massive events will erupt in the life. And so, like, we're here telling you, people like who's wondering what the shift is going to feel like we wrote on our slides, like, the change is here. It's okay to feel all the emotions that Mila was just talking about. It's okay to feel the fear, to feel resistance, like, to go through the struggle and the process of deconditioning yourself and getting to the bottom of your soul. Like, it's a messy process sometimes. Like, it's not all like a rainbow. But that's why we love evolutionary astrology, right? Because it really gets to the heart of the matter of the soul. It really digs to the undying truth of, like, actually who you are. And that's such an emotional and psychological journey that only the individual can do for themselves. And you do transform. Like, you are not the same after a great inner work, right? A great journey of inner work. Like, you don't come out the same, but you also come out so much more full, so much more healed, so much more empowered. I think sometimes Pluto gets a really bad rep, right? With a lot of astrology, where it's like, oh, you're going to die, or it feels like death, or it's going to kill you or something, right? But it's like, when you actually claim your Pluto, like, when you really step into your Pluto, it is power, and not in a negative sense. It's like, I'm in control of my own life to a certain extent, but I feel empowered. I feel strong enough to handle challenges. I feel like I can be a leader in a sense. I can feel like I can empower other people. And it's wealth, right? It's not just money wealth. It's like wealth of knowledge, experience, love, compassion, all of these water dynamics. It really pulls in the Pisces and the Cancer.
Exactly.
It gives people to create their own safety and security. It gets that trine from the Cancer, right? And it gives people the ability to have great depth of compassion for other people, the trine to Pisces. And, it's important that people are really digging into themselves during this time and asking themselves, like, the real question is, like, do I like myself? When I look in the mirror, like, do I like who I am, or who I'm at least trying to become?
And why? What's the intention?
And why? Right. And that's why we were talking about, like, the ultimate vision, which we wanted to put on the slide. Where do you see your future? Because Aquarius is future oriented, and Pluto is here to give you that power and that strength and the resources to get you moving there. But it's like you got to know where you're moving towards as well.
And for that, you have to do the work. You have to realize what it is that you want to be, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you touched on a few things that really resonated. So with the Pluto, and like you said, it's got the bad rap because of this death. And it is the metamorphosis process, which is why it's so scary for a lot of people, because you will never be the same after that. Like people obviously who already experienced Pluto square Pluto, which is like a deal, late 30s, early 40s. Neither of us had it yet, but it's coming.
Right.
It is literally like you have to face your biggest fear, and everything that is no longer making you feel empowered, you have to transmute, and it's not an easy process. And the more people resist it, the harder it gets, which is why where there is the most resistance, that's when the nature takes over, or the circumstances, external circumstances take over. But usually for people who do a lot of inner work, it's not like these transits don't happen for them, but they just accept that the change is part of life, is necessary. It's the cycle of life. What is born has to die, and that's to do with everything in our physical journey. That we're not gonna be the same person for the entire duration. I mean, if somebody is, then well, good for you, but I would feel that I've not learned anything if I was the same person 20 years from now. But I think in essence, because obviously it's the water trine, like you said, so we have this ego identity, where we identify ourselves obviously based on our bringing and conditioning. We have these labels, like you are this, you are that, you are a mother, you are a teacher, you are this, whatever. And it's not who you are. That's not who you are. You are a spirit. You are I am. Everything is just the ego identity, which is necessary because we are in three-dimensional reality and we need to identify ourselves as something, right? To, hello, my name is, you can't say I'm a spirit. but
Maybe.
When this no longer resonates, because obviously from Cancer you've gone through all these different signs to get to Scorpio. So then the Scorpio asks you, okay, well, like you said, you look in the mirror and you go, is it still who you are? Does it make you feel empowered? Does it give you a meaning of life? Does it give you a sense of purpose? And if not, then let's change it, because it's holding you back. It needs to decay. It needs to be gone. And that then introduces you to Pisces, where, you feel like, okay, my life just has a new meaning, like a fresh start, right? And then you go through the cycle again. And this is a cycle of life. So that's why I always say to people that people either change gradually, which for us, Pluto in Scorpio generation, this is a story of our life. That's why for us it's much easier to talk about death, because I've never met a Pluto in Scorpio who had an easy life in easy ride in life. It's constant, reinvention, and especially if you Pluto retrograde, like I believe you are as well, right?
Yep.
So it's this constant acceleration, trying different things, reinventing yourself. You're a different person 2 years from now, constant little crisis. And we just go with it because, I mean, by this point, we're used to this. But for people who are not used to this, there is this midlife crisis. And that's literally the wake-up call, right? But it doesn't have to be like that. So that's why for this Pluto in Aquarius time, which is putting Pluto and Uranus together, so it's like big shit show, big midlife crisis for the humanity. So it's literally, if you've done the work and if you have no resistance to change, because things have to die, because it's a cycle of life, nothing is permanent, right? Which is something that we're going to talk about as well. Then it's going to be easier process, because you understand that, yes, this is not comfortable, but evolution requires it, because nothing in universe is static. The universe learns through our experience, it expands, and for that to happen, we cannot just stay sitting still on a rock and that's it. Like we had this experience in different lifetime and we were a rock. Here we are a human, and in order to evolve, we have to keep going, keep learning, keep shedding the old skin, so the new, because for the new things to come into our life, we need to let go of something to create a space for it. It is the process of this Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and it goes over and over again. And there is already obviously the other supporting factors, the earth elements and stuff, which provide certain level of security and stuff like that. But in core essence, the evolution is inevitable. It's here. Change is coming. So it depends on our level of resistance, how uncomfortable it's going to be.
I agree with you.
Really the bottom line.
I agree with you. And yeah, so we talked about the law of impermanence, which is a coin term that we got from our teacher Simon, and who is a Scorpio, so it makes total sense that, you know, he would use this in his teachings. You know, and to me, like, the whole point of Pluto and Aquarius is also to make us lighter, right? So we can fly. So not like literally, I mean, maybe literally, who knows, but so we can fly, you know, mentally, emotionally, so we can be lighter, you know, more free, more open, right? Because Aquarius represents that freedom of the self. And it's like, when, unless you do that releasing of that emotional baggage, you know, and it's okay. It's okay to be there if you're the person that's there right now, or you're going through it, or you go through it at certain times where you feel emotionally like so bogged down that you just feel heavy, right? With depression, it's okay. But this is an opportunity to release yourself. Like, the universe will always give you opportunities, but this is like a super duper opportunity. You know, this is like opportunity extra level.
For a collective.
Right, right. That the universe is just like, okay, like, let's like just lift up the earth a little bit. Let's raise the vibration. Like, let's release some of this baggage that has just been held down for so long. And you know, another thing that you pointed out is the Pluto and Scorpio generation, like from 1983 to 1994, I believe, is our Pluto and Scorpio generation.
Yeah, and something like that, 94, 95.
This whole group now is going to begin their Pluto square. And this is going to be a huge wave of people who understand like the very deep taboo topics of the world and the stuff that people are uncomfortable to talk about. And it's going to be challenged by a square, this transiting Pluto and Aquarius, which to me is just going to be bringing up all this dirt. We're going to be like, let's talk about the money issues. Let's talk about, you know, where wealth is distributed unequally and unfairly. Let's talk about power dynamics and relationships and sexuality and what it means to be in your body. Power dynamics when it comes to like social media. We're still dealing with the corporation stuff, which the Pluto and Libra and Capricorn square was getting. You know, it's like all of these things now are going to be coming to the surface, and I want people to be prepared that when they see it, they're not shocked. It's not, because actually one of the sayings that I heard once was just one of the best things ever was, it's only taboo until it's not taboo. Right?
Yeah. So it's the same like with the shadow, right? When you shine the light onto it, the shadow ceases to exist. It's exactly the same thing, which is to do with the shadow work, which is to do with anything that's hidden, forbidden, everything that's taboo. It's just dark because there is no light shining on it. But when people actually bring it out into the open and start talking about it, and it's no longer this secret, this dirty thing, then suddenly, you know, it will become something else. It will just get different label.
Right. It's like an ultimate purification.
Yeah, ultimate purification, exactly. And actually, one thing that you know came to me when you talked about you know, to become lighter, because from the subconscious point of view, all these planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they are subconscious. They are not visible to our naked eye. You know, we need telescopes and stuff to see them. And to me, it really feels like transcending this reality, because obviously Uranus is non-linear. You know, that Saturn is Chronos, is the time. Now Saturn is going through Pisces. That's why time is starting to dissolve. You know, that's one of the things where I'm sure more and more people are aware of that. Where is the time disappearing? We feel this acceleration of time as we know it. And also, you know, with this whole world preparing into going into metaverse and stuff, there is no time in metaverse. Right. So, but let's just take us into the time that we want to choose, not metaverse. And that's why I feel that this transit of Pluto through Aquarius, I 100% believe that people will start using more the telepathic skills, maybe time travel, you know, will become more common thing, because it is possible. It's already out there. People have done it, but it's a big secret. It's not a taboo thing. So all these things that are actually available to us as humans, because we have all these abilities, we just weren't fine-tuned because we weren't taught that we have them, right? I think this is the time where once people transmute this trauma, like obviously shadow work is a whole life process. It's not like we ever be done, because otherwise we wouldn't need to be on this earth, because this is a school of life, right? But the more we release and the lighter we become and the more in connection with the invisible, then it will be easier to access this gift and transcend the limitation of the three-dimensional reality. Literally, I feel that Pluto in Aquarius, and I'm getting goosebumps, so spirit is confirming, is cracking the matrix. Is the opportunity to crack the matrix. So it literally, everything will be available, you know, the telepathy, there will be ET communication, you know, there will be the opportunity to do things that we cannot even comprehend right now with our brain. But as Pluto will move into Aquarius, the process will accelerate. As Uranus moves into the Gemini, that will accelerate our thinking process. Maybe our thinking brain capabilities will get upgraded, because our DNA is constantly getting upgraded with the solar flares and everything that's going on. And obviously Neptune's gonna go into Aries, so that's a brand new beginning. Saturn after 2026 will move into Aries. That's a new, also new cycle, new beginning. The nodes, once they move past Virgo, Pisces, 2026, after that they will move into Aquarius. There will be a North Node in Aquarius. So we have so many new beginnings from 26 onwards. So that's why we constantly keep repeating how this year and these upcoming 3 years of Saturn transit in Pisces are so important, because the potential of what Pluto in Aquarius can bring, positive and negative, there's always polarity, because we are on planet Earth, which is the planet of duality and polarity. The potential is we cannot imagine it. Like, I don't think anybody alive right now can really imagine what the potential is. So it brings us back to square one. You know, we start from ourselves and we open these channels, we clear this luggage we've been carrying as a society for 2000 years of this conditioning, this garbage that's been passed on us from generation to generation to generation. This is the opportunity for every single human on this planet right now to take the responsibility to heal what they can heal within themselves. There is help available. There are so many healers and light workers out there. There is these new technologies, quantum technology. There is so much help available. Everything that we need to support us to make this transition is out there available. So people just need to reach for it, to be brave, to embrace the unknown, and that will prepare. That's the best preparations for the Pluto in Aquarius, I feel, because the potential is unlimited.
That was just perfect. That was just absolutely perfect. I feel like you were channeling from Neptune. I feel like
maybe right now. But it's the sun conjuncting Neptune today, right? So it's like
exactly. I know. That's why I was like, let's do it today. I feel like it looks like you're on Neptune. I just think that's a perfect way to end the discussion. I don't know if you want to say anything else, but that was just beautifully put. I think that's empowering people. Yeah.
I don't take the ownership for it. I feel today everything I've done has been channeling.
Well, that's the point though, right? And those are the things that people can do and they can tap into, and it's real, and that's like why we want to teach it and we understand it, is because it can be effortless. It really can. If you just like tap in and tune in to the energy around you, you really don't have to do much work. You did mention bravery. I love that. I love that because
it's the Leo, the brave heart.
Yes, I love that. It's so true to go in a new direction, to embrace the change, to accept what is decaying, what's weaning away. You know, it does require a level of courage to go and step off into the unknown. But again, we're doing this all together. So like we're together, we're together, you know.
And the baby energy, the Aries energy is going to be very helpful with the, you know, Neptune moving into Aries, Saturn moving into Aries 2026, and the nodes obviously this year moving into Aries, which will be the preparation for that, you know, from the more individual level, and then it will move into the collective. I think that's going to be supportive because it's this instinctual desire, you know, this, like, we know there is a purpose to follow. We don't have all the answers, but we know that, you know, this is dissolving. There is no continuation because the cycle is closing, and more people, whether awake or asleep, they are aware of it. Everybody's tapping into it. We all part of the same collective. So people, it will be just a matter of just really just be childlike, stepping into the unknown. They say like, oh, we are afraid of the unknown, but if that was the truth, the baby would just be, crying, hiding in the room somewhere. But the babies, they're curious, they want to know everything, the toddlers and stuff. And just one more thing I wanted to add was, but this really for another conversation, is this fear of death. Once people overcome the fear of death, they open themselves up to unlimited possibilities, because that is the most hindering thing I find for most people. That's what they're afraid of the most. And and then once we overcome that, then everything is available to us. And also the guidance, like you said, that we are all connected, and also the guidance from our ancestors, from the angelic realm, everything, we are tapped into everything. It's just to have the realization how really powerful we are as divine being, and to trust ourselves that it is out there for us. It's nobody's better than anybody else. It doesn't mean just because somebody mastered their mediumship and channel skills that somebody else can't have them. It's available to everyone, and that's what Aquarius is going to bring. It's going to invite people to understand that it's really equal. Like, we are all humans, we are all equal, we have all the same opportunities.
Yes. Well, like, you just made me think of something. Like, Pluto can be, in an essence, what you invest your time and energy into, right? Like, what you choose to morph with or merge with. And it into Aquarius, it's about merging and morphing into yourself, right? It's like investing in your own individuality, and whether that be you want to become an astrologer, or you want to learn how to channel, or you want to be a medium, right? Or you want to teach yoga, like whatever you want to do, start to invest in those skills and start to invest in yourself in any direction that you're instinctually drawn into. And that does give you a peace of mind when it comes to experiencing the decay or death dynamics, right? Learning that you're not condemned to hell, right? That's not really how
there's no hell.
Right? The universe doesn't really work like that. And the more that you learn about yourself, the more you actually, because you have the universe in you, like, we're all God and Goddess, the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about actually the universe and what happens when you die in this body, like in this physical body. The physical body dies. Your soul doesn't die. No,
it's energy. Energy is indestructible. It just changes form. But I feel that that will be a opening for a brand new conversation, because I'm sure that people also would have questions. But this, for us Pluto Scorpios, death is a very exciting subject to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
In a proper taboo fashion. But absolutely, like, I could talk about death all day. I'm fascinated by death, and I'm here on my Pluto line, so I've been thinking about death more than ever in my life, so yeah, bring it on.
Well, I guess I'll go and wrap that up with just letting everybody know that we're going to be doing a Q&A. So we're going to post this on our YouTube channels and our social media. And then there's going to be a date and a link down below if anybody wants to meet up with us sometime next week. We'll put it out there. You can either email Mila or email myself for the Zoom link, and you can just come with your chart and your questions, and we're happy to just talk astrology for a while with people and kind of like figure out what it means for you as an individual. Like, we're more than happy to be there for others and create community and like share our knowledge and different perspectives with other people.
Absolutely. And also for people to share how is it manifesting in their lives, to feel like validation of their experience. Because if people don't talk about this, because it is scary, people think like it's just, I'm going crazy, it's just me, but actually when people open up and compare the notes, like, okay, this is how it's manifesting for me, this is how it's manifesting for this other person, and then we can compare the notes and help to support each other, because that's what this community thing is about. That's what Aquarius is about. Like, there's no judgment. It's this objectivity, like, okay, I've gone through this myself, X years ago, I can help you with that. Or you're going through something else, you can help me with this, and it's I think it's going to be more and more of this, like people really trying to support each other, because we all working towards the same goal. Like I said, there is no separation. There's going to be no one sitting on a mountain in a palace and you slaves, you can be stupid and I got all the knowledge. This is over. This is Pisces. We are going forward from here. So I think it people, you know, and especially once people get that validation, you know, the Leo, I think it will help them to get more out of their self, more out there, and to connect.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Thank you so much for just
Oh,
doing
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It was too easy. Like I was like, oh my God, this is effortless.
I could just chat to you all day.
No, I know. So just everybody, make sure you just give us a subscribe and a like if you really enjoy this content. All of our links are going to be down below, the social media and all of that. And we hope to see you guys on the next Q&A that we're going to do. Okay.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Bye. How do I stop?